In a special edition of Managing Asia, I speak with Keshav Murugesh, Group CEO of WNS, at the second edition of CNBC Connect to get his insights on the future of business with AI. Welcome to this edition of Managing Asia's Fireside Chat AI Insights. Keshav, you and I have known each other for a long time, but for the sake of this audience, I enlisted the help of someone to help me make the introduction. Who is Keshav Murugesh, CEO of WNS? Say it in less than 100 words.
Keshav Murugesh is the CEO of WNS Global Services, a global business process management company. He has been with WNS since 2010 and has played a key role in expanding the company's services and global presence.
And to add to that introduction, the company's services include helping businesses with their digital transformation journey by implementing AI solutions to optimize their operations. Today, WNS has more than 200 clients in various industries, including travel, healthcare, retail, and banking. Keshav, let's get into the conversation. You're especially excited, I know, about Gen AI, and you spent the last few years bolstering the company's offerings of AI products and solutions. What extraordinary possibilities does the world of AI offer? How will it revolutionize businesses are done and how industries will operate?
The first thing I would say is our focus has always been on navigating, the opportunity and not really the threat. But at this point in time, we are interacting with almost 60 of our customers where we are driving real impact, leveraging generative AI models in actual business solutions. So if you look at the whole travel space, we do a lot of business travel, using generative AI models to manage disruption for them. So which means for the traveler, they have the most accurate information in terms of their ability to travel. Similarly, on the shipping and logistics side, what we are doing is helping many of our SNL customers contextualize a lot of data that is coming in through email, through chat, through voice, and creating a beautiful summarization report, as a result of which the ability to use the LLMs to create great outcomes for these customers is positioned. And I can go on and on and on, but these are the kind of examples that are now powering WNS, I would say, and I would say the industry as well. And the net result of all of this is, in terms of customer experience, we're seeing between 30 and 40% gains in terms of customer experience itself. And in terms of productivity gains, we're seeing between 25 and 40% gains in terms of productivity.
Okay. Just to set the context, Keshav, you have over 600 clients in various industries. What kind of investments are we talking about to make that AI transformation?
The first thing I will say is AI is not new, right? Artificial intelligence has been around since the 1950s, actually, right? And companies like WNS have leveraged AI in their models for more than 15 years, 15, 20 years at this point in time. I think what is super exciting is the way AI is now morphing itself into this new model called generative AI. And the difference between AI and generative AI really is the deep power of the large language models, the LLMs, and the fact that these LLMs are trained with humongous amounts of data. When I say investment, it is all starting first with data. It starts then with a commitment to uptraining, upskilling, reskilling your people. And then it ends with your being very clear about the fact that it may create huge productivity impacts, right? But you have to play that game, make that investment in order to go after the bigger
Let's talk
prize.
about that productivity impact. You said there's going to be an increase in productivity. Does it ultimately also mean a decrease in business costs?
I would say it would make your cost more variable, Christine, as opposed to...
What does variable mean?
So, quite often, you look at, core functions of companies, right? You are used to looking at costs around 200 accountants, 500 people doing, certain jobs, things like that. With generative AI, what is going to happen is that is going to take on a much bigger leap, right? So productivity is going to increase dramatically. So you could see productivity in the region of 60%, 70% as well.
Let's talk about governments, because governments are now moving past the hype and really getting down to real legislation. We've seen the EU now being the first major power to come up with a comprehensive set of legislation for AI. Do you think the EU is on the right track, and what criteria should the government use to regulate AI?
So first and foremost, I personally think that this is not the time to over-focus on regulation. I think at this point in
Is
time...
that advice to the regulators?
Yeah, I think so. And that's the beauty of the whole thing, it is human behind the wheel. We are supposed to tell governments and influencers what we think they should be doing. The reality is, this technology is so new and it can be so disruptive. But like I said, it has to be a collaborator. It cannot be a competitor to human beings, right? So what we need to do is focus really on democratization of this technology so that it is available to more and more people. I think that's where the intent
So not
really
regulating out of fear?
No, not regulating out of fear. I think it is more to enable this technology, because what everyone is trying to do is to dispel the fear that this technology is going to take away people's jobs.
So how does an AI practitioner like yourself, how are you going to navigate the myriad of rules and regulations in each and every different country? Isn't it going to be very complicated?
Yeah. So the first thing I would recommend is for countries, to focus on collaboration and creating legislation, partnerships, and innovative programs with each other in order to make sure that humankind keeps making progress. That's the first thing I would do. And I really want to talk about a great example of India. If you look at India, India has stayed neutral to all of this. And obviously there is some legislation being spoken about. There is a ministry that has been created for artificial intelligence, and there's a special task force that has been created to drive this. But the focus of India has been all about how do we work with other countries that have already stolen a march over India in some areas in this particular field, collaborate with them. So we have a tie-up with the UK, we have a tie-up with the US, we have a tie-up with Germany. And the whole intent is, how do we work around, collaborate with all of these countries and create models which is a win-win, for each of these countries.
So looking at the list, we've got the US, we've got China, we've got India, we've got UK, all investing heavily in AI technologies. Give us your gut feel. Who do you think is going to lead and win the AI race?
So Christine, this is not a war, right? This is a huge opportunity for the world to come together and really collaborate on this very interesting and immersive kind of topic. I think the whole power of these countries and these companies can come together in terms of making the world a better place, leveraging this technology, focusing on climate change programs, eliminating biases, things like that. I think that's where we should, get everyone to, to focus on. I really don't think that this is going to be a war that has to be won by, a particular country. I can also tell you that from a company's point of view, because, obviously a lot of CEOs will be listening to this as well. 3 years from now, if you are investing significantly in generative AI, you might be disappointed, right? As we have seen with many technologies, sometimes the hype is much bigger than the reality. But 3 years from now, if you are not investing in generative AI, you are going to be terrified, because those companies that made the investments now will be far ahead of you.
Keshav, you talked about endless possibilities for AI and the reality of AI. What comes after? What's next? You mentioned AGI. What is that?
Well, we are still focused on the generative AI side of things, but AGI is what could happen next. It is when all these generative AI models and these large language models come together and create a force, as a result of which artificial general intelligence takes over, which means bots and machines and these models mimicking your thought process, my thought process. Because, and at some stage, that is when you have to start getting worried about whether a bot would be able to do your job better.
Exactly. So should I be worried about AGI?
No, you shouldn't, again, because a bot will never be able to look me in the eye the way you are and have this kind of conversation. It may ask, better questions, frame the English differently, things like that, but it will never create that human connect for which we all live, right? So that I'm very certain about. But again, man's ingenuity is such that we will leverage that technology to create even higher productivity and new business models. People have always said in the past, who needs a companion robot for a conversation? But there is always a need. And these bots are driven by AI and generative AI kind of models. So human need and the customer need is constantly changing, and this will fuel it.
There was a recent article by the Harvard Business Review about whether AI can make us all better leaders. And this has sparked a huge debate about whether this dependence on data and AI will make CEOs more human or less human. Before I get to you, Keshav, how many of you think that AI is going to make CEOs more human? No show of hands. How many of you think AI is going to make CEOs less human? Whoa, the numbers speak for itself. Where do you stand on this issue, Keshav?
I think the soft power of what leaders stand for is really what they like to focus on. I will only say that artificial intelligence, technology, generative AI, and potentially any other new technology that is going to come along the way will only make leaders a little more efficient, deliver numbers better, probably help them take decisions better. But I don't think they're going to become better leaders as a result of that. So, if you ask me, for example, when I wake up every morning and go to work, my focus obviously is to make sure that my company does better, my investors do better, and all stakeholders do well. But the prime reason I go to work every day is because I have 60,000 employees, and I take an average of 4 people per family, and I want to be relevant in terms of ensuring that 240,000 people that I and my team are responsible for, are fed every day, right? And if generative AI and technology models can help me deliver that, why not?
You've been recognized in the industry as a visionary and a champion of innovation. How would you describe your leadership and your management style? Has it changed because of AI?
Well, Christine, I believe in just one saying, every morning when I wake up, I work hard, like as if, everything depends on me, but I also pray harder, like as if everything else depends on God. So technology or not, I really think there's a force beyond that helps us make the right decisions and stay relevant.
And finally, let me end up with, what advice would you give CEOs and leaders in this audience about how to drive and how to navigate a business in an AI-driven future?
Just go out there with complete passion, because everyone is at the starting block at this point in time. So just go out there, be confident that this is going to be something that you can leverage to deliver great outcomes for the long term. But do it today, don't do it 3 years from now. Because if you look at how technology changed in the last many years, there were many CEOs who said, what, I'll attempt, enlisting RPA later. I'll attempt enlisting AI models later. I'll attempt enlisting machine learning later. And most of them got left behind as a result. So this technology will not allow you to be complacent. You will have to go ahead and do it today, if not now.
Any mistakes to avoid?
Remember, focus on the outcome you want and not the tech stack. Technology has to be subservient to what the human needs to get done.
What a great and timely conversation, Keshav. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Can we give him a warm round of applause, please?
Thank you, Christine.
And I've been speaking with Keshav Murugesh, Group CEO of WNS. Hope you've enjoyed the conversation. For more interview highlights, check out managingasia.cnbc.com. I'm Christine Tan. Thanks for watching.